Right, and so reading this report, it seems like there's a big development in OTT.
Yep.
That seems to have, there seems to be a big increase. What's going on there?
Yeah, so it's interesting when you think about premium digital video. If you look back a couple of years, it was all on the desktop, and the desktop's a browser-based environment. It's the easiest to measure. Pretty much everyone has a laptop at this point, so you have a lot of devices out there. But what we've seen over the past 2-3 years is video has really established itself as like a true cross-screen medium. So this quarter has been by far the biggest quarter we've seen for both mobile and OTT. So let's start with OTT. When we say OTT, we mean a Roku, an Xbox, Kindle Fire, PlayStation, anything that plugs directly into your, the 50-inch screen TV in your living room. This quarter, that was 1 out of 10 ad views that we saw through our data set, which is really phenomenal. If you look at that, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, those devices weren't even ad supported. All you saw was Netflix. So we're really starting to see in the living room monetization through ads, which is a big story. Tangential to that is mobile, which is obviously the much smaller screen. We've actually seen now 1 in 5 of our ad views is coming through an iPhone or an Android device, a mobile screen, 5-inch screen. And what is that viewing? A lot of it is what you would expect. It's music videos, but we're also seeing a lot of news clips. So people at work or on the go watching a news clip on CNN, or even snippets of TV shows, entertainment clips. So it's a pretty good diverse mix, and it's really good to see these strong, 150, 200% growth numbers for both OTT and mobile.
So getting back to OTT, what is driving that in your opinion? Is it sort of live programming that people are watching OTT? Is it just cable cutters that just don't have regular TV? What's driving OTT ad consumption? Yeah,
so good question. So for us, what we've really seen seed the market has been live sports. So, and when you really think about it, with a lot of the sports apps that are out there, you get a lot more access to games than you would get through your traditional television. So a lot of people, and a lot of the first apps that came out were sports-driven apps on Rokus and Xboxes and PlayStations. So that was the first volume we saw, live sports, watching football, watching basketball, baseball, hockey. But over time, we've now seen live news be a big driver. So people are watching on their screen a live simulcast of their news channel that they might be watching on their TV. Maybe they're watching it in a different room. And we're now seeing some of that entertainment content, just the standard primetime content that you see on TV. People are now watching over an IP through their OTT device. That's what we've really seen drive it. It's a growing percent of our volume, and it's something that live is now about 30% of our programmer volume. So it's really something that's seeded the market.
And tell us about mobile. We've always heard that everyone's watching mobile, but no one's advertising on it because of different elements of analytics or attribution modeling. Why is mobile doing so well, do you think?
I think measurement has picked up a bit in the mobile space. So, with a lot of the measurement companies, you can now track user behavior. You can track monetization on mobile environments. I think that's one. I think two, there's just been a lot more apps that have been launched over the past couple of years. So beforehand, if you really wanted to engage with video on a mobile phone, you often had to do it through the mobile web. User experience wasn't great. But over the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of new mobile apps developed, and the user experiences are great. So now the monetization is beginning to follow. And I think, honestly, the buy side is just getting more comfortable with the mobile medium. There's a lot of viewers there, and it's scale at the end of the day. So you can't kind of like walk away from that kind of scale.
And dynamic ad insertion, we're doing pretty well. Where does that stand in the United States? Dynamic ad insertion is being part of all of this.
Yeah, so pretty much everything we do right now is dynamically ad served, meaning we're making a decision basically in milliseconds the second someone clicks a video. I think what's going to be interesting over the next couple of years is, in particular, as we see more live content coming into the digital environment, live sports, live news, as we're talking about, but also as we see a lot more of the TV everywhere products, I think you're going to start to see a blend of dynamic ad insertion and just traditional TV scheduling. So you may at one point see Geico and then Home Depot and then a bunch of dynamic ad insertion after it, and it creates a better viewer experience and it creates more predictability, because a lot of advertisers, particularly on the linear side, they want that placement. They want to be at 8:13 p.m. In prime time, and they'll still pay a premium for that. So it's important to be able to mix dynamic ad insertion with the predictability of TV scheduling.
And Red, finally, we've been tracking TV Everywhere for quite a while. Seems like it's getting some traction. What's going on there with TV Everywhere?
Yeah, TV Everywhere is one that we continue to see growing, and it's the same thing. A lot of the apps have been launched over the past couple of years, and there's sort of a new one every quarter, I would say. We've seen about, when we look at just long form and live content, so the really, the content you see on television, 60% of it is coming from behind that wall. So meaning most of it is being seen after someone entered their login credentials, which is a good sign, and we're still seeing these 100 to 200% growth rates in authenticated viewing. So users are logging in and finding content. It's again something that started with sports, where people, if they want to watch a game, they're going to find their login credentials to get access to that game. Particularly if you're at a bar, if you're on the go, you're on a bus. That's the first way that we see a lot of people log in. But then they start to use the same login to access entertainment content or news content. So it's sort of been that sort of seeding mechanism again for a lot of the authentication and TV Everywhere products.
And finally, as far as the advertising media that actually goes into TV Everywhere, that goes into this dynamic serving into these over-the-top linear programming, has the advertising changed? Should it change? What are the opportunities for advertisers?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think ultimately you'll always hear discussion about interactive ads, new experiences where you get taken to a new environment to engage with ad content, and similar to the way that they've had it in display for many years. I think with premium video in particular, what we're going to see more of is the linear buyers and the linear TV ad copy coming over to digital. And I think it's important to always recognize the relative size of those two industries. Like when we talk about premium video, we're talking hundreds of billions of impressions a quarter. When we talk about TV, linear TV, we're talking trillions. So a lot of the copy and advertising creative is built for that TV environment, and it's being pulled into digital, which makes sense. Now what we're going to start seeing, I think, is a lot more of the blending of that. So you get that storyline that you would get in the linear creative, but you also get interactivity and shorter creative, because a lot of it's coming over as 30 seconds. What we're looking to see is more 15-second, 5-second, 10-second creative to really mix content or add content with the actual creative content.